The other part of what we've been working on are things like reading this week. When you read a little bit of a book, it's something that you feel like you should be doing. A lot of people walk around saying, I really should be reading a book. I shouldn't be just scrolling on Facebook. I should be doing something that gives you a sense of accomplishment and a goal. We read a news article. We don't talk to anybody about the fact that we read a news article. We talk about the fact that we know what's in that news article. When we read a book, we can tell people about how great the book is. But also, if somebody says, "Well, what did you do yesterday?" You go, "Oh, I read for a little while." It's something that we can talk about with some pride and accomplishment. And that's a good thing because it makes us feel like we're doing something in our life that matters. Even if it's not on a global scale, it's something that matters to us. When we get farther along in this, we're going to do some other stuff too that kind of has that same thing. It makes you feel like you've done something out of the ordinary, something important, something that you have been putting off. And what that's going to help you do is make you feel like your choices in your life and your actions are doing something for you. And that's also going to bring it back to the fact, our life does have meaning, to ourselves, self-respect, uh, keeping promises to ourselves. We say we're going to go to the gym. We say we're going to read a book. We say we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Even if we do a part of it, we've kept part of that promise. It's way better than saying, I really should read that book, and then you don't read any of it. You have not kept any promises to yourself, and you have no sense of getting anything done. The other thing that really helps a lot of people is reconnecting to good times in their life, and that's why I had you pull a piece of clothing out that you haven't worn in 6 months or a year or 3 years or whatever. It's not to see how if your body's changed, if it still fits. It's because you pull out a shirt that maybe you only wore once on a Caribbean cruise or something. And you put it on, and even though you're not on the Caribbean cruise, and maybe that makes you a little bit sad, at the same time you put it on, you think about that cruise, and you think about the people in your life, and you think about how fun it was. I doubt you'd still have a hat, still have the hat and the shirt or whatever you have from that if it was a bad trip. So it should bring in some good memories. And then, of course, the music on Friday. You know, we have favorite songs that we listened to growing up that influenced our teenage years or preteen years or maybe our 20s or, depending on how old you are. There are songs out there that we listen to and we kind of forget about. They were on our mind for years, and then we moved on. We quit listening to what we wanted. We just turn on the radio in the car. We listen to podcasts. And we don't listen to music much anymore. Things like that happen, and that's fine. But sometimes you reconnect to that music or that era of music. Um, I use an example that of Imelda May on that YouTube. Well, for me, that's about 4 or 5 years ago. I went and saw her live, and she was amazing. But what that connects to for me is when she used to perform. When I watched her, she had kind of a rockabilly theme, uh, kind of a cool '50s vibe to it, and that ties into rockabilly, like Reverend Horton Heat or the Stray Cats or the Necromantics or Horror Pops or something like that. Those are all rockabilly bands or psychobilly. But what it does is all of a sudden I'm going, oh, that's a cool song. I remember that song. I like that song, or oh, I forgot about that band completely. And it takes you down a, a lane of good memories. And with music, it's so emotional and so energizing when you find good music. Um, there's obviously music we haven't listened to for a long time because it's bad memories. It's connected to somebody we don't like anymore or somebody that's not in our life anymore. So that's why I said to find something good that you remember just loving that you haven't listened to in a while. So hopefully this is making a little more sense what we're doing here. These little things every day are just going to help you reconnect to maybe somebody in your past that's within you, your past person, your past identity, your past life, whatever it is. But it's also going to make you aware that today you can still do things. I can still work out. I can still read a book. I can still, be an old dog learning new tricks. And so that's what we're really after here is to just start improving our lives with these little steps instead of putting these big parameters on everything about, oh, I have to go to the gym 5 times this week and I have to read 7 books this month and my book list for this year is 100 books and I'm going to lose 25 pounds in the next month. And as soon as we do that, we start looking at the end goal and we don't look at what we can do today. We put parameters on what we must do today, and if we don't do them, we failed. But if we go along and we do, hey, this was simple, I did this, and my whole day is better because of it. And at the end of the week, you're like, I walked backwards, I worked my legs out a little bit, and my balance is a little better. And, I did some core workout, and my stomach feels tired, and that's great. And I read a couple pages in this book that were awesome that I've been meaning to read, and now I'm reading 4 or 5 pages every day because I really want to get into this book and through it. So we can do things today to make our life more meaningful to ourselves. And we can bring in a past version of ourselves when we were happier and go, hey, I used to do this stuff, or I used to really like this music and now I'm dancing. Or, it shows you what you've done, what you've enjoyed in the past, and it shows you what you can do from here on out. So, nobody's done living. I don't care if you're 95 or if you're 25 or if you're 35. Or if you just, your life feels like it stopped because of circumstances. We're all still living and we can all keep going and we can all continue to improve our lives. And that is honestly the only thing I'm after with this. I just want people to feel better, and it's not so hard to do it. It just requires doing something every day. And that's why he's biting off these little chunks is where it's really going to make a difference in the long run, even though on a daily basis it's so easy to do. So I hope you stick with me. I hope you enjoy this. We'll have 5 new do somethings this week, Monday through Friday. And we'll recap again next weekend and see where we are. Anyway, thanks for watching.